So last night was the Greeley City Council work session. Most notably discussed was that of the update for the West Greeley project. They covered that they are still doing some work doing the grading. They're working on finishing up all of the design. Interestingly, they said they're accelerating the design to ensure it gets finished, and that they are working on the Boyd pipeline. That was the pipeline that had to be moved because of Cascadia catalyst. When asked by Councilmember DeButy how much money had been spent to date, yet again, there was no number. She even asked for a general ballpark. They said they'll hopefully have that by April 28th. The other thing that came up was Councilmember Olsen asking the city to work on zoning. As he's talking about a new zoning plan, he says this.
I firmly believe, no matter what comes out of the advisory board, that we should be starting a new zoning. We know it's not PUD. They voted down the PUD. But I really think we should be moving forward with that because they definitely said they didn't want a PUD out there.
Okay, not once, twice. He says that what was voted down, what we were clear we didn't want, was the PUD zoning. I don't know how many times and in how many ways it can be conveyed this was never about the zoning. This was the only way that residents had to have their voice heard after the first petition was quashed, and regardless of what was said, the city wouldn't slow down. He continues to refer to the Oversight Committee as an advisory board. And what I'm wondering is if he may have realized that the wording he used when he first proposed it isn't what he actually meant. I've had this conversation with several people now that an oversight committee would be overseeing the entire project, whereas an advisory board is just offering suggestions at a certain part during the project. Also, the acting city manager had this to say in regards to why they hadn't yet done the zoning.
We've not proceeded with replacement zoning yet so as not to appear presumptuous to the Oversight Committee.
They didn't want it to appear presumptuous to the committee. But within 90 days, they will have a new zoning plan so that they could pull the trigger and continue with the project. What I hear in all of this is they're still not listening. They still don't care what's being said. In addition to this, the rest of the work session was pretty basic. They talked about hazard mitigation plan that FEMA needs in order for us to receive FEMA funds. They did an end of the year report on tourism and what they're doing as far as marketing. So they also discussed how to handle code compliance, ultimately coming out with they are spending a ridiculous amount of staff time in order to do hearings on all code violations. And so it was proposed to perhaps save hearings for the more egregious things and instead move to more of a citation and ticketing system in which when you violate, you receive that with possibly fines that grow over time if you don't fix it. This will also cut down on the amount of time that it takes from 3 to 4 or more weeks from beginning to actually having some level of resolution to having potentially being able to issue a citation or a ticket within a couple days. So that was the City Council work session. I'd love to hear your thoughts.